So I thought I'd work on a little beading today and turn on the camera and take you along with me. This is my triptych. Right now I'm calling it Jeweled Garden, but I am open to suggestions for other names if anybody has any. And this is a triptych. It will be framed, each of these will be framed individually on a background. And then I'm debating whether I think I might do some clear fishing line in between so they will hang together. But this is the order I'm picturing them in. But maybe I do it like that. Not sure if I want to have the dark green on the top or the light on the top. I think I liked it the other way around. Okay, that was easy. That's one decision made. All right. So for beads, what I have, I'll bring you down a little closer now. So what I've got are some gold small bugle beads and some green seed beads. These are my favorite needle. This is a tulip beading needle size 10, and I will put a link to those down below. Went through a thing with my beads recently to make sure that I only had beads that I could easily use, and I think these might be the 11s, and that's like as small as I can go, and that's fine. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, originally I was going to do only the gold beads in here and only the green beads in here and then a mix. I don't know if I want to mix them up or not, so I might need to do a little bit and then we'll see how I feel. And then for sewing the beads on, I am just going to use good old sewing machine thread. That saves my floss for other things. This is usually pretty strong thread. And one of the things I love about this particular needle is that I can still, it's not easy to get the threader through, but I can get the threader through there, and I don't have to try and get the thread through myself, because that's just, for me, really difficult. I don't know about you. Maybe you can do an easier job with it. And I tried again the other day, and I have tried in the past to use the very fine beading, clear beading thread, and I just can't do it. I just can't do it. So since I know these are going to have a background on them that's going to be a dark green, I'm not going to worry about coming right up to the edges. And I just kind of want to be somewhat random, and I often can't tell until I get going on a bunch of beads whether I need to add another color, but I really kind of want to go easy on these. And the idea of the beads, okay, now there are people that'll say, you've got all these knots, you're messing with the knots, you're messing with the texture. I just want to add that little bit of sparkle, and I'm not going to do it with thread. Your mileage may vary. You may say, nope, I don't ever want to do anything with beads. Now there are people that can just dive in there and come up. Oh, I got lucky that time. I'm not normally that lucky, which is why you'll see me picking them up. I did see something advertised the other day, though. I might have to go check it out. It's a little thing that goes on your finger, and you can pick the beads up like a dabber. I thought that might have some potential things that we like. All right, I'm just going to come up here. Let's see, am I going to get lucky? I got lucky again. Oh, no, I didn't. Sort of like fishing for treasures, right? If you just dip your hands into the beads. Or your needles, not your hands. You dip your hands into the beads, and what do you end up with? You end up with beads all over the place. At least that's with me. I was organizing my beads the other day here, and I tipped the edge of one, and I just had this vision of them going all over the carpet beneath me. Luckily they did not. Okay, let's try a green one right in here and see what we think. I'm not going to be as lucky fishing on here. There we go. All right, am I going to like maybe a few? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to save that for when I get to this one that's got both colors on it. Then I'll mix and match in there because I've got a little bit more space. That's what I'm going to do. All right, I'll stick with my original idea to just do the gold ones here. There's just something about having that little bit of sparkle when the sun hits them. You're not going to always see them. It's only going to be sometimes in some ways. For me, it's just faster to... Oh, these I obviously took off of a piece of clothing because there's the little metallic thread that was still left on it. I used to get all my beads at the thrift store, and I could probably go back to doing that now if I went to thrift stores, but I'm not doing a whole lot of that kind of shopping lately. But I splurged recently and found this Etsy shop that had all the Miyake, I don't know what the name of it, how you say it, but it's a Japanese brand of beads that are just have beautiful beads. And they had just all the sizes, all the styles, and I went ahead and ordered some in the different sizes and styles so I could make sure what ones I liked and which ones I didn't like. And now I have, and then I kept a sample. Let's see, I can show you. So the beads came like this. So it was DIY.beads on Etsy. So I can see exactly what they are. And then I kept one of them in the bag. And I've just got those tucked aside in the studio. So then the next time I want beads of that kind, if I go to use something up, I'm going to have to do a lot of beading to use them up, but that's okay. So these were, you know, when I first started stitching on these, they were really going to be pages in a book. So I've got more of this material that's that size. I've also got this piece. So see, it was going to be the outside of the book, and now it's not going to be the outside of the book. So I don't know, maybe I'll just cut it apart. Maybe I'll just put it in the shop like that. Somebody else can do something with it. It just didn't want to be a book. It didn't want to be a book. And sometimes projects do that, right? They just turn into something else along the way. And as long as you're just approaching your whatever it is that you're creating with just the idea of the process is your practice, then you don't need to worry when something morphs into something else. Okay, got a little bit of thread still attached. Looks like it's like a knot. There we go. Yeah, just randomizing these little beads. That's all I need to do. So one thing I've been doing the last few days is I have been prepping even more backgrounds for future projects. See, another little piece of thread here. So I've gone through my stash and realized I really need to do some more fabric dyeing and lace and trim dyeing. But I went ahead and just picked a bunch of things that kind of spoke to me, and I didn't pull out threads or anything for them. All I did was use some fusible interfacing to apply them to some felt backgrounds because I like having that little bit of a padding since I don't work with a hoop. I bought some hoops to work on some small projects on, and I bought hoops that had hardly any depth to them. They were cheap hoops. I just wanted to, I don't want to spend a lot of money on them if I didn't know that it was something I was going to like doing. Well, I should have gone ahead and just spent the money and bought one nice hoop, because what I ended up with are these hoops that you would have to take 2 sheets of thin material to try and, you know, find something that you could attach through it. It was too thick. The screw wasn't long enough, and it's like, yeah, okay, I could get a new screw, but what a pain. That wasn't the whole idea, and I wanted to have the padding. Anyway, I said, well, maybe I'm just not a hoop person. I just need to get these things back in a way that works for me. I still think hoops kind of slightly traumatize me. They send me back to childhood when I was trying to learn how to embroider, and the gal that was teaching me was not the kindest teacher, which is kind of why embroidery and me parted ways for quite a while. And I mean for like 45 years. I never would have thought that I would have fallen back in love with embroidery. I would have figured that this kind of hand stitching just was something that was not in me. And now I look at my sewing machine and think it's been 1.5 years since I even turned on the sewing machine. And I might go back to it, but it's not quite, The sewing machine for me is about efficiency, how quickly that I want to pull something together. And there is not a joy in the process of stitching on the sewing machine for me. For me, my joy comes from, you know, pushing the needle through the fabric, pulling the threads. All right, just a little bit of sparkle. We're just going to kind of randomize. And I could have covered this with even more stitches. It was very hard for me to stop stitching on this. Even though it was small and it has no backing, because like I said, I thought it was going to be pages in a book. But I think this was, I don't know that I was stressed, but I was like needing to slow down. And if I need to slow down, just doing gobs and gobs of knots, I think I'm going to start a big piece that's just nothing but knots. Because who doesn't love French knots? Okay, there are people that don't love French knots, I know, but I happen to love French knots. I love bullion knots too. They're not a relaxing part of embroidery for me, but I absolutely love the effect that they are worth fiddling with. But French knots and colonial knots are very relaxing to me. I like that, you know, even if they come out slightly wonky, they're still good. They still add to the project. So that's what I'm going to do on this piece, is I am just going to keep beading away, and then I will mount them to their backgrounds, and then I'll figure out, I really do think I'm going to attach all three of them, but maybe not. Maybe I should leave them for whoever gives this piece of art a home to figure out how they want to mount them. They might want to do something different. They might decide they want to put it in a book. So see, sparkle. All right, I'm going to keep stitching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.